Welcome everybody back to Sports Rehab, where all of the sports addicts go. I'm your host, V-Dub, Vince Wallace. I'm here today with JC, Jimmy Clark, the great Jimmy Clark. I mean, when you want to talk about sports geniuses in the world, the conversation stops with him.
He's not wrong, folks. He's not wrong.
But we're going to have a good show today. We appreciate you coming out, tuning in. On today's show, we're going to go a solid hour and a half, just like we always do, Jimmy. Yep. We're going to talk about everything and anything related to sport and all that might imply.
Yes.
And so, Jimmy, before we get started, got anything on your chest you want to get off today? Have a good weekend? What's going on?
You know, it's going all right. As I was telling you before the show, I stopped at the Waffle House. You can never
Waffle House can never go wrong with a Waffle House.
You know, sometimes you just need to be amongst your people.
I hear you.
I hear you. And there's something to be said about seeing an old man cooking back there, a cigarette hanging out his mouth. You know you're getting a little ash in those eggs.
Well, why does it taste so good?
I don't know. It's special pepper. That's what I used to call it.
One of the mysteries of life.
Yeah.
Why is Waffle House food so good?
All I know is them eggs scattered, smothered, and covered, boy.
Can't beat it?
Can't beat it.
I hear you, man.
Walk out of there $6 and full as can be.
That's called fine dining, Jimmy.
Yes.
It's called fine dining. Well, we're going to talk about a few things today, Jimmy. Number one, we're going to get into the NFL.
Yep.
I mean, it's that time of year.
It is.
Touch base with it. And, of course, that means that we're going to talk about my favorite team, which is the Dallas Cowboys. Do a little bit about Jimmy's favorite team. I don't know why we do, but we'll be talking a little bit of Washington Redskins.
Yeah, but we'll go around the horn. We'll see what's going on in the league.
The horn. There you go. Let's go around the horn. We'll also do a little bit of college basketball. There's a lot going on in Louisville here lately.
Sure.
Yeah, your boy
That's
Rick Pitino's at it again.
That's going to spread, man. And, I'm looking forward to this because I'm curious about – we'll get into it. That's all I would say. Yeah, we'll get into it. Yeah.
And then we've got a little conversation about Cam Newton. There's something that was said by Cam that made people cringe just a little bit as it was being said, and we're going to touch base with it. And then we're going to close out, Jimmy. We're going to talk a little Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
I got the music genius here with me. I mean, you guys thought he was just about sport, but Jimmy, his first love.
Tons of useless stuff up here.
There you go.
Tons of useless stuff.
So when you're talking about rock and roll, the Hall of Fame, I want to get Jimmy's take on a couple of things, so we're going to be asking a lot of questions. But we're going to start off with the NFL.
Yeah.
And let's start off with the Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh.
There was a game that they did not win.
They didn't.
That they were in utter control of this past weekend against the LA Rams. 35-30.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, I want to hear your thoughts on the game. What do you think?
Okay, so first and foremost, I knew it was going to be some sort of tough battle because Sean Lee did not play.
Yes.
Becoming, as over his career, just too common a theme. You know, last year you got 16 games out of him, but
that might have been the only season
I think that's the only time
16.
So, as well as he's been playing, which enables Jalen Smith also to get a lot of tackles.
Right.
Also taking a focus that, as we talked about last week, the emerging greatness of DeMarcus Lawrence. You take that guy away, who's also a threat to pick off passes and get in the backfield as well, even from the middle linebacker position.
Mm-hmm. Sean
Lee's presence, or lack thereof, I think destroyed what the momentum that DeMarcus Lawrence has been building.
I completely agree with you. From the linebacker spot, we were atrocious.
Oh.
Todd Gurley went for 215 yards.
And was looking at linebackers behind him
the
whole game.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, I do like Jalen Smith. I think he still led the team in tackles, but there are always tackles from behind at this point. And one of the things about Jalen Smith that I'm starting to notice is that when he gets in space and coverage, he's not reacting well at all.
No clue.
And so I think a lot of the offensive coordinators in the league are paying attention.
No doubt.
And especially someone like McVay, who is, right now, we could almost call him an offensive genius the way he's turned around the Rams. Where did that come from, right?
Unbelievable. No, Vince, I think that the Cowboys have offensive production.
Yes.
With what they've got, they should win every game they score 30 points on.
30 points.
Any NFL team should win every game that they score 30 points on.
I exactly agree.
So when you see that, and it's not just one guy, but it was a culmination of a number of things in that game as well. But Todd Gurley bringing it all back together. Jared Goff, I mean, night and day from last year.
Yeah.
Night and day. So it's making me, as a Redskins fan, miss Sean McVay more and more, you know?
Right.
But when you look at Dallas's, again, it's two different games they're playing from the first half to the second half. And so, because they had an 11-point lead in the first half.
And, I mean, they were dominant. It was about time to blow the game open till Ryan Switzer fumbled that punt. I think we were up 13. I think it was 17-6.
Yeah, they were up 11 at that point.
Up 11, 17-6.
And you're controlling every part of the game.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and you got the ball.
And you have the ball. So, again, now, it's not coach's fault on the fumbling. I personally think that they are trying to wedge Ryan Switzer more and more into this scheme that they're attempting to run. I don't know if that's a good thing right now because he just sometimes looks lost. And that's rookie. That's just being a rookie.
Right.
So I don't begrudge him for it, but at some point, again, the coaching decisions have to be, is this the right fit for what we're doing? Because we're still seeing no presence of Cole Beasley whatsoever.
That's one of the things that's got me panicked. You know, I moved from concerned, I'm absolutely worried, and now I'm panicked. Because
he doesn't exist.
As we pointed out, the way the Cowboys won last year was 3rd and short, and we're looking at Cole Beasley.
Right.
And he was the primary guy, and as far as I knew, they told us that he was pretty much uncoverable in the slot one-on-one when matched up.
Right.
And as of today, and now, you know, I always look at the game a little different. They are bunching a lot of the safety play inside.
Yes.
They're not floating them out. They're leaving a lot of Dez and Terrence Williams one-on-one with safety starting to cheat, and they are essentially trying to take Cole Beasley and Witten out of the game.
Right.
That's the game plan now. We're not going to give Dak these short to intermediate throws, and he's very accurate short to intermediate in the middle of the field. He's very accurate. A lot of people talk about his inaccuracy. His accuracy comes to play a part when he's throwing to the outside. Right. Anything outside of the hash marks is when we start to see that level of inaccuracy with Dak. And I think we saw that pretty much all 4 games to start the season.
I completely agree. You know, I want to expand on Dak. Tell me any level of concern. We've now seen Dak play for 20 games, right? Or 21 with a playoff.
Yes.
Still seems reluctant to throw the ball downfield.
And I don't know if that's more Dak or more Jason Garrett.
So that's what
personally.
I was glad. I don't either, but I've heard some people say, well, he's worried about throwing picks. I don't think that it's in an in-game thought of his of going, can't go deep, higher percentage of, or higher possibility of it getting picked off.
I think that what we're seeing here is a little bit of the Bill Parcells philosophy of interceptions lose games.
Yes.
Don't throw the ball where it can be picked off. Make sure we run something conservative, and then we're going to beat you. That worked for Bill Parcells because he had a physical defense majority of the time.
Right.
We do not have that kind of physical defense.
Right.
We're going to be in more shootouts than not. You've got to be able to play every side of the field. You've got to be able to play the vertical game. You've got to be able to play the intermediate and the short-range game. And right now, we're suffering outside of the hash marks, and I think that's one of the biggest areas of concern for Dak. But Jason does adjust from game to game. I think we mentioned that.
We did.
He doesn't adjust well in game, but game to game, he typically comes up with something. So I'm going to trust that we'll have this fixed by this weekend, especially against Green Bay. Green Bay at this point, you know, I still don't believe too strongly in their secondary.
Green Bay, they got a bunch of people hurt right now.
Right. And I mean, that's all across the board with them right now.
Right.
But
So
they still have that
they got Aaron Rodgers,
Hall of Famer in
Yeah.
the pocket lining up over that defense, which has struggled in the secondary. But I think more so than the secondary for the Cowboys, I really agree with you. I think it's the linebacker play. But in that game, that's just McVay identifying what's going on the field.
Right.
Because what he looks at, he says, okay, they're missing their best linebacker in Sean Lee.
Right.
Okay. They're missing their second best linebacker at this stage in Anthony Hitchens.
Right.
So now we've got the 4th and 5th linebackers out on the field. Let's see what we can do against those guys, make them play in space. And we've already said, as I said tonight, Jalen Smith isn't playing well in space.
No.
And so I think it's going to come because he has the speed, he has the natural talent.
Sure.
But you got to remember, this is a guy that was out of football for a year.
Right.
And you got to remember, he's essentially a rookie himself.
Right.
And you can talk about practice all you want, but he really wasn't able to practice last year.
Right.
He was only practicing part of the time in training camp, and turning it over to him where he's really got to be the guy playing in space against, realistically, Todd Gurley is one of the better running backs in the league from a skill standpoint.
Right.
You ask him to cover that guy, you're going to run into some trouble.
Sure.
And I think that's what we're in. And Damian Wilson and Jeff Heath played like trash, in my opinion. And
so bad.
It is time to bench Jeff Heath. I started the season hopeful.
I know.
Because I think he led the league. They led our team in interceptions last year.
Did.
So I started the season thinking, okay, Jeff Heath's going to be a player for us. But he takes so many bad angles to the football that I don't think that you can have him out there. Because if they get past the linebackers, with Jalen Smith tackling from behind, if they get past the linebackers, I'm not getting the safety support. And it's Jeff Heath that's our primary culprit, and Byron Jones, who is borderline Pro Bowl player to some extent. I think he's regressed to where he's more of an average corner at this point,
right?
Than an average safety at this point than a Pro Bowl caliber safety. And so I'm a little concerned, linebacker and secondary at the moment.
Yeah. No, it's not the trajectory or the trend that you want your defense to have a quarter of the way through the season. Remember when we, before the season, worried about if Zeke was even going to play, and we went through the first 6 games thinking of who can they beat, who do they lose to. Denver, you and I both talked about that because of Denver's defense. Thought that was a strong possibility for a loss there.
Right. Especially a Mile High.
Right. But L.A.,
didn't see that one coming. And people can talk about the Rams' improved offense. They look great against San Fran and Indianapolis.
Sure.
So I'm not completely sold just yet.
Right, because those are two terrible teams.
Because our defense is also terrible. Just being frank, when you take Sean Lee out of that defense, and let's just go ahead and say it, because I think it needs to be said, Sean Lee apparently should be in consideration for the Hall of Fame when he's on the field.
He's unbelievable.
Because when you take him out of that lineup, we have no answers in the short and intermediate passing game or in the running game.
Right.
So I never really thought, I always thought he was a Pro Bowl caliber player. But when he's on the field at this point, let's start looking at this, because that defense is not the same. We can't get the stops that we want to get when we want to get them.
They talk about lateral mobility of linebackers and the ability to cover the flats and things of that nature. Sean Lee does it forward, backwards, and lateral. That's very unique in the NFL. I mean, you're talking guys, your Ray Lewises, your Mike Singletaries, these guys that you couldn't throw intermediate because, one, there's a good chance they'll pick the ball off.
Right.
2, with that threat of picking the ball off, you're going to throw even wider on the flat routes that even if they catch it, they're going out of bounds. Yeah, and they're going out of bounds where they catch it. So that's 6 yards, and usually that's not the first down. So that kind of thing of going bend, but we're definitely not going to break and keep that first down from happening, that doesn't exist right now. And my biggest fear for the Cowboys is if teams can consistently move the chains against – Dallas did a great job of stopping down in their own end, but you gave up 7 field goals. That's 3 touchdowns.
I want to say they scored 9 of their last 11 drives. They scored points. And I don't care how you do it. Math means if I'm adding points, my score is going to go up.
Right.
And that's what they did. I mean, they took it bit by bit, chunk by chunk. How do you eat an elephant? A little bit at a time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did. They added to their point total a little bit at a time until they were ahead in the game. Anthony Hitchens is coming back. I'm looking forward to that because we've got to take Jalen Smith out of that third down middle linebacker role.
Right.
We've got to get him out of there. He's not prepared to play that right now.
No.
We've got to get Sean Lee back on the field. So from a health standpoint, we are getting those 2 back.
Right.
Chidobe Awuzie.
Oh, yeah, Awuzie's coming back.
He's coming back. So there is some hope, and David Irving's coming back.
Yes.
Which I do believe is going to be a pretty big help. I'm hoping he can rush from the right side, and we can, because he and DeMarcus Lawrence traditionally play the same side.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that he can provide some on the opposite side. It's amazing, but the defensive line isn't the primary concern on this team when all offseason that's what I was worried about.
Right. Oh, but I do have two players I want to get your thoughts on because they're very similar players. Tapper and Taco. Tapper's gone for 6 weeks again, right?
Right.
The guy's he can't stay on the field.
No.
I mean, it's amazing to me, Vince, in this day and age, with all of the knowledge, technology, everything that we have, that we still have these guys that no matter what you do, they're going to get hurt. They're just going to get hurt.
Well, some people have brittle bones, Jim.
Yeah.
And I think I'd hope that's not the case for the duration of his career because the guy has some speed, so we know he can turn the corner. I think when he came out, he was the fastest defensive end to come out a couple of years back. So he's got some speed. Taco's got some speed.
But Taco has 3 tackles this year.
Taco is underperforming. But Taco is also getting engulfed. He's getting absolutely engulfed by linemen.
Okay.
He's not very good with his hands right now.
Right.
And if you look at him from a technical standpoint, he looks pretty bad. He looks pretty bad. And so when linemen are getting on him, because he's letting them get on him, they're turning him away from the play.
Right.
And it hasn't been a pretty picture for him so far. Can it improve? Sometimes young guys don't pay attention to those first 8 games they play. It's really those last 8 games, and you hope you can build some momentum in the next year. But these are the concerns I had with Taco because I wasn't sold on him when we drafted him.
Right.
I would have rather have had, I think it was King who will be playing in Green Bay. I'd have rather had him. I was hoping that the other guy from UCLA, that he would have fell to us, but that didn't happen. I think we reached a little bit for Taco. I had him more like a mid-second round talent, so I think we reached for him. But you know what? Now that we have him, you got to coach him up,
and
get him out there. Yeah. Or David Irvin needs to take that spot, and we just bring him in as a rotation player.
Right. So, but offensively, Zeke looked really good in the first half. Just didn't get to do much in the second half.
Well, too many 3-and-outs by us. Too many 3-and-outs. That's when the game got away from us.
This team is built to have 2nd and 4.
Yes.
2nd and 3. Behind Zeke getting 6 or 7 yards on that first down carry.
I want to say last year on first down we averaged 5 yards per first down. So we're talking 2nd and 5 and under majority of the time.
So you still have the ability to run and just bear down on that defensive line and say, if we need to throw, that's fine, but the play action is going to destroy you. That is not there so far this year. And this is where we talk about with Garrett. So the coaching. In game, I don't see any beneficial moves that I honestly, again, don't understand what happened from the first half to the second half that, Zeke has had, 79 yards in the first half, 2 touchdowns?
Over 80, plus Alfred Williams came in with a pretty good run himself.
Oh, yeah, he had 2 carries for 78 yards.
Right.
They were running the ball. But
our line is not as good as it was last year. I think Jonathan Cooper is a step down. Lyle Collins, I believe ultimately he'll be better than Doug Free. But Doug Free was really good unless he went against extremely athletic defensive ends.
Of course.
So Doug Free was more than serviceable 90% of the time.
Sure.
And so Lyle Collins still learning.
Right.
But that guard spot, Jonathan Cooper, he didn't get it done.
No.
Sunday. He didn't get it done. But I still thought we had a very good chance to win the game. I didn't think it was a hold on Travis Frederick. I thought that was a horrendous call.
There were some really bad calls in this game.
And if you don't see that hold, you don't call that hold.
Right.
That's taking something from the fan. I'm a big believer in, I like to do, if I'm a ref, let's do what's going to make the game the most interesting for the fan. And that hold brought down the drama level because I really had no confidence in us converting that after that. And, there's some debate on if we should have took the field goal. What do you think of that?
The moment you get the penalty, I think you kick the extra point.
With 7 minutes left, I think it's a reasonable call. I think it's a reasonable call. But I will say, Terrence Williams, who never catches the ball with his hands always wanting it to hit his body. Always. 95% of the catches this guy makes, it's body. I saw him leap for one in this game just so he could catch it with his body.
I remember that.
And I'm like, dude, my receiver has to use his hands. If he extends out and catches that ball,
money.
That's a 2-point conversion.
Right.
It was there. You could have done something.
I know.
But waiting for it to come in and popping off the shoulder pads. He had 2 of them yesterday, popped off the shoulder pads.
And that's the crazy thing is also, as much as we don't like to, we think it's so minute, that is another split second more that I have to wait that now maybe I can't drag my feet in.
Right.
Maybe I can't get that other toe down. And it's those kind of things. It's not new. You've been seeing this from Terrence Williams since he came in.
His whole career. It's how he catches the ball.
Right. So,
I would have never drafted him because of that.
Right. So what I don't get is how are you not coaching him up to the point of look, we don't get to be in the locker room.
I don't know what he's doing with the jugs machine. You got a jugs machine that shoots it out to you. You're supposed to. I've seen Keyshawn Johnson in front of a jugs machine, and I mean it's catch after catch after catch. And I guarantee you, what is he doing with the jugs machine? Is he just letting them pop him in the pad?
If he's even doing it, that's the other part I don't get. Is practice and such so soft that that's not even coming up? Again, we don't know, but these are the thoughts I have watching these games because if he's letting everything pop off, dude, you're not bringing me anything to the table that I can use.
He's supposed to be our speed guy.
Come on.
And that's the reason that he starts over Butler.
Right.
Because Butler seems so much more physical to me.
No doubt.
That I wouldn't and it looks like he can catch the 50-50 jump ball.
Right.
But it's every coach's dream to have speed on the field. And so if a guy can run faster, we're going to keep him out there. And another piece of that is we believe that Dez really only runs about a 4.5, 4.6 at this stage in his career.
Yeah.
And so we need someone that loosens the safeties up on the back end. But, I mean, I'm sorry. We got to get Bryce Butler in if this guy's going to drop big passes like that.
I know.
And here's another thing about Cole Beasley. I don't know if you know this or not, but that's the fewest snaps I think I've seen Cole Beasley play in 2 years.
At one point, Vince, I had to ask my buddies that I was watching the game, I was like, has he even been in? Because you just don't even notice him.
Right.
It's not that they're not throwing to him. I don't see him in the game.
Well, he's usually part of the 11 personnel package.
Right.
That's when you have one running back, one tight end, 3 wides. And so that's normally our base package. They shifted and went with 12 personnel, and I think a lot of that was because they were thinking there was going to be a lot of pressure from the edges, like what they saw in Denver and Arizona. And so we wanted to get an extra tight end out there. And so I understand the thought process behind it, but when we had the lead, I saw no reason on some of those third and shorts not to have Cole Beasley on the field. He's the guy that has to be accounted for.
I know
it doesn't seem like that right now. If you guys just watched the Cowboys for the first time ever, you're probably saying, who is Cole Beasley?
Go look at last year, what that cat did.
Yeah, and for his size, he's incredibly strong and hard to bring down.
And his quickness is unmatched. I mean, it is.
He has a lot of short area quickness.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'd be curious to see what practice is like, how much they're going through the motions with him. Because those are the passes Dak likes to throw.
He is very good inside the hash marks, short to intermediate. I mean, he looks like, and I know you're probably going to say, what, Vince? He looks like Troy Aikman if I can keep him inside the hash marks and I can keep that pass inside of about 11 yards. He is that accurate with the football. It is when you start to throw outside of the hash marks that we start to see the difference when it comes to the accuracy. But you got to give defenses credit. You got to give defense coordinators credit. They're picking Dak's game apart and finding out what he can't do and so he's going to have to overcome that to take the next step.
And when you compound that with not only do we have 21 games of film on him now,
right?
He's also having to play a first place schedule instead of a last place. Folks,
the schedule that we play, I think it's the toughest in the league.
Man,
if you go out there and look at that schedule, I think we got Green Bay coming up. I think we still got Kansas City. Yeah, it's a very, very tough schedule. But that's what happens when you win 13 games. You get the playoff schedule. So if you want to be one of the big boys, this is what you got to do.
Right. What did Ric Flair say? If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
That's right. If you want to beat a man, you got to beat the man.
So,
but Yeah, it's a first place schedule. That's what we're supposed to have. We won the division last year. I think one of the concerns also is that I thought that there was going to be a lot more mediocrity in the NFC East, and apparently I was wrong.
So let's talk about that.
Let's talk. Well, before we go there, let's talk about your Skins. If we're going to transition to the rest of the teams in the NFC East, let's talk about the Skins. They played Kansas City. What was Jimmy Clark's take on the game?
So, fully expected them to lose, but boy, if Doxson catches that pass, they win that game.
Yes, they do.
So the fact that they went up against arguably the best team in the NFL right now, I mean the only undefeated team, with all that speed that they have. And first off, they started the game by marching the ball right down. Had no qualms about, I'm going to attack your defense and we're going to see what you can do. And scored that. They got up 10-0. They got up 10-0 on that team. So now, are there some things that, yes, you can tell that secondary still gets, they play too soft?
Well, there was a lot of injuries to the secondary.
There are. And so, again.
I thought they were going to call you up. Get out there
right.
around the third, fourth quarter.
Hey, Coach, you went by me. I was going to run, but then I didn't. So
I just had Waffle House.
Yeah,
Coach.
I just had Waffle House. But I will say this. They grew, my prediction, 5-11.
Mm-hmm.
So I am now saying 8-8.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think 9 games wins the division.
I don't disagree with you at all. But we'll talk about Philly here in just a second, but I do think you're realistically seeing a 3-team race in the NFC East.
And one of those teams is not the team that we thought it would be. I mean, the Giants look bad. They look bad.
They get the lead, and they can't do anything to stop anybody. And when I say can't stop anybody, they can't stop any kind of rush on the quarterback.
Right.
And they can't stop anybody from just driving the ball hard-nosed down the field. They can't do anything.
The New York Giants, I know they had to have some pretty high aspirations, but this goes to the GM.
No doubt.
I think this is a GM.
What is in the water in New York, Vince, that causes GMs and ownership to be that team is owned by the Mara family. That is a dynasty in this league.
And I'm going to tell you like this. We know they don't have a running game. They don't have a running back, and they don't have an offensive line. They need a couple people on the line. But you look at the draft that just came about, there were some running back talent in this draft that we are seeing. We're seeing Kamara in New Orleans, Kareem Hunt in Kansas City.
Hate to say it, but Joe Mixon.
Well, we'll see where that goes.
Right.
I'm still a little nervous.
I know, I'm with you, but I mean, there's raw talent there.
There was some talent from the running back spot in this draft, and those guys, Paul Perkins. Oh, we're good.
Yeah, we're
good. We're good. We don't need that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the Otto Porter of New York football right now.
That's what I'm saying, people. If you want to make a lot of money, apparently they're giving these contracts out in New York at the airport. I just landed. Where's right here? Okay, cool. I can't play. You know that, right?
That doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Here's $11 million. Go.
The Waffle House is across the street. Once you sign, you can go get as much as you want.
It's embarrassing to. There are times you could say New York is the center of the universe for us, right? I mean,
I think that's Cowboy Stadium, but well, I'll take your word for
it. They're 2-2. But what I'm getting at is you have teams with unlimited resources, unlimited desire from players that want to go be in this city, and they can't do squat. They cannot do anything.
I don't understand it either.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, Jimmy. But so 8-8 for the Skins. That's the prediction. As long as you're giving them to me, Jimmy, what's the prediction for the Cowboys?
And I still think Cowboys are 9-7.
So we win the division.
I still think Cowboys win the division. I will say this, they have to, in my opinion, they have to beat the Eagles twice.
Yes, I agree with that.
So, because I think the team, if the Eagles win once, I think the Eagles go 10-6.
I'm not sold on the Eagles. I know a lot of people are. From what I've seen of the league so far this year, I do believe that the Washington Redskins are better than the Philadelphia Eagles.
You think so?
Yes.
And it's close. Again, I'm the master of doom and gloom, so I always assume that my team is going to be terrible. But Washington showed me something Monday night. Another thing that we have to talk about, somebody has to pay Kirk Cousins.
And he's looking like a quarterback that deserves to be paid right now.
Week 1, he overthrew everybody.
Yes. Wasn't much better than Jimmy Clark.
Yeah, but since then, he has got them in position. They beat Oakland handily, and they almost beat Kansas City at Arrowhead. That's the other thing. You went into one of the most difficult stadiums in this league to play in.
And you delivered the pass to win the game. Like you said, if Doxson comes down with the ball, that's a win. And you know what? That's why I'd be so frustrated if I was quarterback in the league. Because if Doxson makes that throw, makes that catch, and they win that game, that's like another $3 or $4 million for Cousins down the road.
No doubt. No doubt.
That's one of those things you can point to. Oh, yeah, I can come back. Oh, yeah, I can make the clutch throw.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's another $4 million on the contract. And you don't think about it at the time, but
boy, those build, don't they?
Yes, they do.
So,
yes, they do.
You know, I hate to think that Cousins is probably a lost cause for the Redskins, and I think he's going to play great the whole year.
We'll see how he does in those high-pressure moments
I agree.
the year gets.
But
I'm still not a believer just yet. I have him on my fantasy team. I think he's going to put up phenomenal numbers. I always think he's going to put up good numbers. And he showed a dimension to the game the other day. I mean, what was going on? I mean, he looked like Randall Cunningham there for a minute.
No doubt. And speaking of running out of the backfield, folks, if you haven't taken notice of Chris Thompson, this guy on third down is a deadly, deadly weapon out of the backfield.
Yes, he is.
The wheel route that Gurley had that huge play on, and Goff put a absolutely pinpoint perfect pass on that. Chris Thompson's been doing that every game.
Yes.
And so
he's a baller.
Yes, when you've got a guy like that, your Russell Westbrook, not Russell Westbrook, who was the Westbrook that used to play for the Eagles? Brian Westbrook. Your Dave Meggetts. Tiki Barbers, these guys that out of the backfield.
Your Kareem Hunts.
Yeah, that can catch these swing passes like this and take it the distance. They pick the spot, and then they're gone. Man, that is a weapon in this league that works incredibly well. So, I'm telling you, like I said, for me to move my prediction up 3 games, that's a big one because, again, you walked into one of the toughest stadiums to win at or to even play in, and you were one catch away from winning that game. So, I mean, kudos to them for playing as hard as they did.
Yes.
You know, they put up a very, very good effort against, again, what most call the best team in the league right now.
And that's why I say I see them finishing second in the division. Mm-hmm. I don't see it as Philly. I know Philly's 3-1 right now, but that's really just a game difference. All these guys are going to have an opportunity to make that game up.
Right.
And so I think Washington's the better team. It wouldn't surprise me if Washington swept Philly. It wouldn't surprise me if Dallas also swept Philly.
Right.
So now we're talking 4 division losses right there. I don't see Philly sustaining what they've done so far.
Okay.
I got a few issues with them, especially with the running game that they're going to be rolling out going forward.
Well, they don't have much, do they?
No, they don't. Now, and from the back position, we haven't seen a lot of a running game from Washington outside of Chris Thompson.
No.
Because your guy, what's his name?
Rob Kelly is not getting it done.
Well, he's been injury-prone like all season.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. And we moved from his shoulder to his knee to his hamstring. The guy just can't get healthy. No. But in the flashes that he's been out there, he has looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
You give him the ball, he makes yards.
Yeah.
So if he gets healthy, I don't think there's any doubt that you guys will finish second in the division, and I think 8-8 is probably about right.
What's happening is what I didn't want to see. I think Samaje Perine out of Oklahoma has a chance to be a pretty good little back in this league as well, but I wanted to see him basically carry a clipboard this year, and he's having to play way more snaps than I wanted him to, and I'm pretty sure coaches didn't want him to have to play this many.
I like Perine coming out. But to be frank with you, he hasn't looked as good as Kelly.
No.
In the short term that Kelly's on the field, he's looked very, very good.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why there's a reason guys used to hold clipboards. There's a reason guys were on the sidelines as rookies.
Right.
Because every one of these guys was the best player on their team when they were in college. Samaje Perine in college was amazing.
Yes.
But when you go from being utterly dominant every game you play, because you're getting to play against teams with one maybe NFL ready player to going and playing everybody's an NFL player.
Right.
There's a lot of growing up to do in that transition. And so...
And I don't think he's the athletic freak like an Adrian Peterson or somebody like that.
He's not. So, learning how the holes develop in the NFL versus the way they did in college. Because in college, let me scrape the edge and I'll just outrun everybody.
Well, if you remember, Zeke, when he was in his rookie season, took him about 2 or 3 games to catch on to the pace of the league. Right. So it takes a little time for these guys. I don't care how much talent you have.
Right.
But, I predicted Washington 8-8, but I do want to put an asterisk by that because unless they can get healthy in the secondary, you can't play in this league with your 5th and 6th and 7th corners out there. You just can't do it. There's not that much. Josh Norman's out now.
Yeah, Josh Norman's out.
Everett, your safety's out now. So I think it's going to take a little while.
Breland is pretty much the only thing you've got out there.
Who wants Breland to be the only
that's the thing?
Oh, my goodness. I could catch 40 yards on Breland.
I know.
I could go for 40.
But that's what I was saying.
Right now, in my polo shoes, I could go for 40 on Breland.
Because he plays so soft.
Yes, he does.
So soft. And anyway, but that's the frustration. So, but if they can get healthy.
If they can.
Which is why, week to week, your team changes. Your teams change a lot week to week.
The NFL is a battle of attrition. Mm-hmm. It really is.
Who can stay healthy?
Who can stay the healthiest is usually who you're going to see. And we're talking division. That's why we talk it in week 4, and it really doesn't matter much.
Right.
Well, week 5, and it really doesn't matter much because when it's all said and done, it's usually going to be a matter of who stays the healthiest.
Right. And Washington has the bye week this week, so
hopefully they can get healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's what you got your fingers crossed for, right?
Before we move on, I did have just are we seeing the end of New England?
No.
Okay.
No.
But they are 2-2.
And
both games they lost were at home.
Let's see where they are right now. Now, I will tell you the thing about New England. It never surprises me when they start slow.
Right. Now, the last time they were 2-2, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And let's just be frank. Tom Brady is still Tom Brady.
Tom Brady is 40 years old. He has yet to throw a pick this year.
Until tonight. I see one interception on his
ledger. Did he really?
Right now. He threw one tonight.
Oh, he's human, everybody.
I don't know if I'd go that far. It probably was tipped.
Probably so, yeah.
Probably a bad route by the receiver. I just can't. I mean, the guy, he's superhuman. He's Captain America, yeah.
It is unbelievable.
But so as long as he's back there, I don't think that you're going to see the demise of New England.
Sure.
Unless he gets old and the velocity comes off the ball. That's the only thing that's going to
And that's what we saw with Manning. Remember
that
last year in Denver, that ball moved like this in the air.
Yeah. Manning couldn't throw farther than I could. No. I mean, it was kind of sad to watch him go out the way that he did from a physical perspective.
Right.
But he went out with a Super Bowl, so, hey,
here's the bang.
Off to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hats off to you. Now, I do want to have a couple of quick hits. Okay, so, number 1, thoughts on Bills over Falcons, 23-17?
Okay. We are not yet in a world where I can say, watch out for the Buffalo Bills.
No, you can't say that.
But they did that in Atlanta.
Yes.
We talked about this, remember, last week. Buffalo beat Denver as well the week before, pretty handily.
I mean, did they
that defense is good.
Did they just not knock off 2 of what you would consider the top 5 teams in the NFL?
They did. They are 3-1, sitting atop of the AFC East, which we've gone, 15 years in a row with knowing who was going to win the AFC East, right?
Right.
But
Buffalo's for real? Let me ask you, yes or no, Jimmy?
No.
Is Buffalo for real?
No, because I can't say you're going to win games behind Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor is better than people think.
I agree. But
and I do believe he's playing for a contract this year.
You're probably right in that. I don't know.
He's probably always playing for a contract,
right.
So I don't know how much that's worth.
When I watch Tyrod Taylor play, he reminds me of, and I don't want this to be the reason because they're both black quarterbacks, but Teddy Bridgewater. I just don't think there's winning behind Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, Teddy can't run like Tyrod, though.
I agree, but you know what I'm saying. These guys come in with huge hype, and
you think Tyrod had huge hype?
Yeah, I do.
No, Tyrod didn't have huge hype.
In the Buffalo market, he did. I'm not saying on a global scale. No, but no, Tyrod came in because he was. Remember, they were dealing with Ryan Fitzpatrick at the time.
Right.
And everybody knows you can't win behind a Harvard quarterback. That's just not going to happen.
Why is he in the league?
Right. But
this isn't where you belong.
no, but comes into the league. Ryan Rex was the coach when he came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it's because Rex Ryan's on. They put him on TV too much, and I still have yet to ever understand why we had to respect him or his brother as a good coach in the first place.
Well, I can tell you his brother didn't do much of a job here in Dallas.
No, you know his brother.
Or in New Orleans.
Yeah, or New Orleans. Did his brother ever have a top 10 defense? I don't think so.
You know what?
Maybe in Oakland?
I think it was 1 year here where we thought the defensive talent level was just pretty much guys off the street, that he had a respectable defense that finished in like around 17, 18. And so that was a win based on the talent level, and I think he rode that to New Orleans where Sean Payton was eventually like, dude, you suck.
Right.
I need you out of here.
Exactly.
And that's what happened to him.
So, but I'm not making a call on Buffalo because, again, part of me is just going, it's Buffalo.
It's still Buffalo. And it's still Tyrod Taylor.
Right.
And they didn't – I don't think the GM thought they could win because they traded off talent in the offseason.
You gave Sammy Watkins away for nothing.
No. Magic beans and a cigarette. Yeah. That's what you got for him.
So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because if they can continue – one, they do have a pretty easy schedule.
Yep, last place schedule, yes.
They got an easy schedule. So, and they get to play Miami twice, which me and you might be able to beat Miami.
Okay, so New Orleans over Miami, 20-0.
New Orleans with a 38-year-old Drew Brees.
Who's still pretty good, though.
Still pretty good, but let's be honest. That offense isn't anything like the good old days of Joe Horn and Davenport or Devery Henderson. And no, not even close.
No. And Drew Brees isn't close to what he was.
No.
He's actually, you can see the tail off.
You sure can.
There's a drop off for him. Not a drop off for Brady just yet.
No,
but there's a drop off. There's a drop off for Brees.
So, I mean, and Jay Cutler is not providing anything. I mean, not that anybody really expected him to, but
I can't stand Jay Cutler.
I know.
So it's hard for me to speak on. And the only reason I can't stand Jay Cutler, and I'm just going to be frank with you guys, it's not a football thing. It's a fantasy football thing. Jay Cutler by himself has cost me 2 championships because I always seem to believe in the talent. Like he's putting up 20-point games. Sure, he's not a winner, but he's putting up 20-point games. And then you get him in the fantasy player, he'd always just burn me.
He had Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall at one point.
Yes.
How do you not throw for 5,000 yards with those two guys?
Don't get me started on it.
Okay.
You don't want to hear the rant. You don't want to hear my Jay Cutler rant, man, because I could go all day with this guy overthrowing receivers when they break open, underthrowing receivers, throwing at their feet. I could go all day about Jay Cutler. And when he walks back, how he just nonchalantly,
meh.
I need that check.
Right. Yeah. Direct deposit? Okay, I'll check the bank in the morning.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
The 52 of you guys showed up.
Yep.
I'm headed to the bank.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how he goes. So,
and he's getting, what, $10 million this year?
$10 million. $10 million. Yeah, Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job.
Right.
Okay. I'll move on. And Panthers over Patriots, 33-30.
Yeah, I still, man, everybody can have a good game, but I'm not buying into the Panthers at all.
I think the Patriots got to get it together. They look like trash.
Yeah.
The defense is so suspect. Now, I will say that I looked at the score just a minute ago, and it looks like the defense actually showed up today.
What do we got working right now?
The Bucks have only scored 7 points at the half.
Okay.
So it's 13-7.
Okay.
I think there'll be a lot more points scored in the second half of that game. So we'll definitely see, but there'll be a lot more points scored in the second half. Okay. And then finally, the Texans put up 57 behind Deshaun Watson this past week.
What in the world did they see in Savage the first 2 weeks to start him?
My thing is Deshaun Watson really this good?
Now, and I know it was his own coach, but
called him Michael Jordan?
Called him, whoever drafts him is getting Michael Jordan.
And that was Dabo Swinney, right?
Dabo Swinney said that, yeah.
And Dabo Swinney is a good coach. I don't think that he's someone that would just frivolously throw around that type of referential, I still don't buy it.
I'm with you.
I still don't buy it.
I'm with you. But, and again, we make these decisions based on one game, but, dude, he looked incredible.
He looked incredible, but it still was 283 yards passing, so not a heavy. It was 5 touchdowns total, I know, but it was still 283 passing yards. I didn't see the game, so I can't definitively say, but I did see him in college, and in college what I will tell you is he reminded me of the quarterback that I'm still afraid is going to make the bad decision.
Yes.
And he's going to throw into – I mean, he's just going to have – and I'm going to use this as a reference. People in Dallas don't get mad at it. He's going to have those Tony Romo moments where I just had a brain fart, dude. I don't know what made me do that.
I'm going to hum this into triple coverage, and I don't know why.
And I saw him do it in college. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there are several quarterbacks in the league that have brain farts.
Sure.
And so the only thing that I'm measuring him against is the prediction that he's going to be absolutely wonderful.
Right.
I do believe that he could be above average, but and in Houston with that defense, you may only need above average, to be frank with you.
Maybe so.
You may only need it because as long as J.J. Watt's healthy, as long as Jadeveon Clowney's healthy, those guys are going to field a pretty good defense. So we're going to see.
Yeah. Jury's
out on him. I'm not going to knock him just yet. Let me see a little bit more. But he did look phenomenal the other day.
Yes, no doubt.
All right. Any other takes on the NFL?
No, man. The NFL this weekend, again, I'm going to go back to, folks, if you gamble on the NFL, it is a losing endeavor.
Trust me, as someone who's previously betted
on
the NFL.
Dude, it's
every Sunday for a period of about 3 years, I bet on the NFL. I will tell you, no matter how much of a streak you are on, the NFL, you have to pay the piper.
You do.
It's just going to happen. You do not stay hot.
Right.
Betting
so,
those games.
Prime example, how many people lost significant dollars on Buffalo going into Atlanta? How many people lost significant dollars on Carolina going into New England?
What I will tell you is, now, if you're an upset bettor, you probably can make a little change on the NFL, but you have to bet the upsets, and you have to be smart about it because it is the hardest league. Because in every other league, you have a very good idea, in my opinion, who's going to win. I mean, it's definitive. When it comes to college football, the chances of Chattanooga State running roughshod over Tennessee, I mean, we just had that upset on LSU.
Yeah.
But it's not common. It happens.
No.
Every Saturday we get about 50 so games in college football, and I guarantee you can accurately predict on the money line about 40 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are only those top 25 teams where there's going to be that guessing. In the NFL, it is top to bottom. We just saw Miami lose 20-0. Wouldn't shock me at all. They rolled out and won this week.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me at all.
I know.
And I mean, they can look dominant.
Right.
We've seen it over and over again. Like you said, Oakland Raiders last year looked absolutely dominant. Then you see them go up against who is it that they lost to just this week?
Because the quarterback Carr went out.
That's what I'm saying though. It just changes in the NFL from week to week.
And it's one player. Everybody thought Arizona was going to be phenomenal because of David Johnson. David Johnson's not playing.
Right.
And Arizona looks horrible.
Right.
They needed field goal after field goal and overtime to beat San Fran at home.
Don't sleep on San Fran.
I don't, but
don't sleep on them. They're building it. They're building it.
So
you got what everybody thought, and I see what you're saying. That Arizona was supposed to be here, and San Francisco is supposed to be here, so that's not supposed to be.
And it's become a lot more right here. And so, but I don't know. It's funny. I love listening to these talk shows that talk about the betting and things of that nature, and these guys that promise you all these winners.
But in the NFL, I tell you what, this is kind of how I see it, because it really is only about 3 or 4 players that make the difference between the worst team and the best team in the league. If you took Tom Brady and put him on Cleveland, they're a 500 football team.
Right. Oh, no doubt.
Aaron Rodgers, put him on Cleveland. And take Tom Brady off of New England. Well, they're 500 now, but they're probably below 500.
Sure.
And Aaron Rodgers is the same way. Because I have this guy, I probably have about 4 to 5 additional wins.
Right.
Anytime you take, I don't care how dominant the team is, let me pick 3 players off that team, put them on this team, and I'm probably going to beat you.
Right.
That's how close the margins are in the NFL.
That's why I love the NFL.
Yes.
So much more than the college game. So.
Well, I don't know about that. I love whoever I have my money on. Okay, let's talk college since we brought it up.
Yeah.
We're transitioning, but instead of talking college football, let's get into a little bit of college basketball. Let's talk a little scandal, Jimmy.
So everybody's obviously heard about the falling out that has come about with coaches, assistant coaches getting paid, working with financial advisors to lead to agents who then lead to product. And we as fans have known about this stuff for how long, Vince?
Everybody knows about this stuff.
Yes.
Come on. We knew. Eric Dickerson said he took a pay cut when he went to the NFL.
He said he took a pay cut
when he went to the league. That lets you know this has been going on not in the aughts, not in the 90s. We're talking 80s. We're talking 70s. This has been around forever and a day for as long as I've been watching football. So I wasn't shocked by it. Were you shocked at all, Jimmy?
I wasn't shocked at all. The part that got me was that it took an FBI investigation instead. The NCAA is a joke.
Yes, they're Barney Fife.
The NCAA has really shown themselves to be a non-enforcement agency, unless they want to. And, I mean, for goodness sakes, they let teams create their own sanctions.
Yes.
The NCAA, for some reason, in the early 80s, when they give SMU the death penalty, has suffered under embarrassment because of that ever since, and it refuses to do anything now. We've had Baylor with dozens, not dozen.
Was that Briles?
Under Briles.
Right.
With sexual assault cases.
You had murder at Baylor.
We had murder in college basketball
at
Baylor. Yes.
How are we going to make this look? How are we going to spin this?
Yeah.
Let's put some crack on it.
Right.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, go look up Baylor and murder.
Yes. Last name Dennehy. That's all you need to know. So the fact that college basketball, which, again, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to be mean to those of you who love the game, because the tournament is such a fun time, but college basketball is a joke. Most of the players that go to the big schools are going for one reason, because the rules say they have to go for 1 year before they can go to the pros.
Absolutely.
They don't want to play college ball, but they're getting paid while in college like they're in the pros.
And this wasn't just one school. I know we're pointing out Louisville because
this is
Pitino. And doesn't Pitino still have that used car salesman look
of course.
to you?
And did you see what was released today?
What's that? I didn't see it.
That the Adidas contract that Louisville signed.
All the money goes to Pitino.
98% of that money went to Pitino. But when they first announced it, it was, this money is for student athletes. This money is to provide opportunity for our students from the basis of scholarship. So you're talking like $5,000 and $10,000 here and there went when Pitino's lining his pockets with $1 and $2 million extra dollars every month.
That's crazy. But I'll tell you this. The NCAA is a corrupt system.
Yes.
And everyone knows it's corrupt. It's the dirty little secret that nobody wants out there, but everyone already knows that it's out there. It's probably the worst kept secret.
Oh, no doubt.
In the world. And for those that don't know what happened, what we have is people that work at Adidas, financial advisors, they are pretty much colluding to give money to players through coaches.
Yes.
And that's a big NCAA no-no.
Right, and using AAU as a big part of it.
Yes, yes. And so there were players that were getting $150,000 here, $100,000 here. It's the Reggie Bush syndrome.
Right.
We're buying the family this, we're buying the family that. And so now, though, the FBI is involved, and they're being charged with some of these coaches, mass corruption, bribery, wire fraud.
Right.
These are big charges, man.
Right.
Whenever someone says wire fraud.
Yeah, that's why the FBI is involved now. And guess what? You don't just brush that under the rug with the FBI.
No. Somebody's going to jail.
Okay, question for you. Because you've got ties. You went to Carter.
I went to Samuel. But
you went to Samuel. But I'm sorry, you've got people that you know and are related to that went to Carter.
Yes.
Especially during their heydays. And Carter has been... They had a movie made about them.
Yes.
They got the 30 for 30 that was done about them. The movie Friday Night Lights, gave a loose representation of that. Mm-hmm. But that kind of stuff had to be going on there.
I would assume that every top-tier school has some type of funneling system to get talent to
Right.
the big name schools. Now, I can't say for certain what went on and what didn't go on in Carter because I wasn't extremely
Right.
close to the program at that time. I was a little young, Jimmy.
I know.
But
But you look good for your age.
yeah, well, I will in 10 years as well.
Right.
It's kind of the opposite in your direction.
Yeah, I'm falling apart.
Knees.
Yeah.
Getting out the car is just kind of spraining his ankle.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But what I will say is I am familiar with the scams, just the stuff that went on at Texas that we've seen go on at Texas A&M.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we pretty much all know that there's money going under the table all the time in college.
All the time.
And I think it was Oklahoma a few years back. What was it? Ryan, I can't remember what the guy's name was, but if you remember, he was the quarterback, and he was working at the used car lot, but he never
Yes.
worked at the used car
Yes.
lot. He actually they were paying him,
Yes.
and he actually never showed up for work.
Right.
But he was getting a check each and every week.
You know what? It's a great example. It's stupid, but a great example. For those of you who've never seen the early 90s movie The Program,
Yes.
they showed the guys, their job was to watch the sprinklers go on and come off.
Right. Right. And that's how you funnel the money to them.
Uh-huh.
Then you also have them with big boosters.
Yes.
You put them on the booster's yacht. There's no cameras there. They slide them whatever they want.
Right.
That's just how it is. You're not going to get the corruption out of it until you start paying the players. What's your take on paying players, Jimmy?
So, it's good that you asked that because and we'll talk more about this with Cam Newton here in a moment, but in the world we live in, I'm not giving an opinion right now. I'm just saying what I see.
Okay.
We are forcing equality on things that possibly can't be equal. Okay? College football generates millions of dollars for a lot of these schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
Volleyball doesn't.
Right.
The baseball program doesn't. If you look at most of these schools, a lot of the baseball programs, they have 15 scholarships that have to get split amongst 35 guys.
Usually the football team's revenue is what pays for all the other sports.
Right. Basketball at some of the schools, like Kentucky,
Right.
North Carolina, Duke, those programs, the basketball. But those are the big ones.
Right.
All the other stuff is paid for by these. So the problem with paying the players is you're going to have the other athletes that are going, I'm under the same rules and regulations of the NCAA that you are, and even though I know it's corrupt, I still want fairness. And for me, I'm always going to say what's fair is what benefits me the most, right?
Right.
That's fair to me.
Right.
But how difficult is it going to be to get to where you're paying these guys that generate revenue, and the school makes money off their image, off their name? School doesn't make money off of the field hockey team and the names they're in. So is it going to be one of those just hard-pressed, we're going to go through 8 million lawsuits of, sorry, you don't generate revenue?
And see, when it comes to, were you through with your
Yeah,
opinion?
my opinion is I definitely think they should be paid. I definitely think these guys should be paid. If you're not going to let them have a job,
And they can't.
right?
They can't have a job.
So if you're not going to let them, and you only pay them,
Football is your job.
right? And they get a stipend of like $100 a month or something like that.
It's like 300.
Okay, it's minimal.
It's minimal. Yeah, you can't live on it.
No. So, and if the schools are going to continue to, eat their steak and lobster off of the money generated from this, then yeah, I think they should get paid.
Well, here's my take on it. Because I'm like you, I believe in fairness of the situation. Now, I believe either A, and I got a couple of solutions. Either A, every college athlete starts to get paid whatever minimum wage is, or $10 an hour, whatever you want it to be, $10 an hour, time whatever amount of time they put into their athletic endeavor.
Okay.
So if I'm going 20 hours a week, then that needs to be $200 a week minimum.
Right.
You can decide if it's going to be $20 or whatever it is.
Whatever it
and
is.
You can do this across the nation with everybody. This is just the cost of, this is what we're giving these guys so that they're not starving in their stomachs rumbling. That'd be my one. But I think my better solution is this one. I'm wearing a Dak Prescott jersey right now, right?
Right.
A lot of the revenue that's received from the selling of Dak Prescott's jersey goes to Dak Prescott. A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
I think that there needs to be a licensing agreement, because if you are the star athlete, you should be able to share in your jersey sales, and then you're not pressured to do something underhanded or under the table.
Right.
Number one. And number two, I think that you should also be allowed to make money off your own image. If you are an actor at the University of Texas, and you're a great actor, and you decide, while I'm enrolled, I'm going to go shoot this commercial in Austin, you can get paid for shooting that commercial.
Right.
Okay? If you are a star athlete and you are, one of these guys that's Heisman Trophy or whatever it may be, you can't go shoot that commercial
right.
and get paid for it.
Right.
You can't do anything with your own image that is profitable to you. I think we need to lift that restriction so that some of these guys can go promote and create their own brand apart from the school, where they can receive something for the work they can do outside of the school itself. So my solution there is let me get whatever let me get a partial of this,
sure.
of whatever you're making on this, and then let me also be able to make money on my own name and on my own image.
Right.
It is mine.
Right.
I just think that's fair. And if you're a small-time athlete, well, yeah, you weren't able to do it. You don't have you weren't going to play in the league anyway.
Right.
But for those guys that are star athletes, hey, you know that you're the guy that's bringing in the revenue.
Right.
Now we're talking about giving you a part of the pie that you generate, and then allowing you. I think it helps you from a business standpoint. While you're in college, I'm going to help you manage your own. You can't go get an agent. You can't go get this. All of that stuff. We've got people within our university that will help you as far as negotiating these contracts, because we don't want the CD agent overpaying you for this.
Right.
We will help you facilitate these deals, and all of these deals have to be on like 1 year basis.
Right.
They can't be 15 years after the fact. We're doing short-term deals, but we're helping you negotiate that out. And I think that most athletes would be in favor of something like that, and I don't see how it really hurts the schools.
Right. In playing devil's advocate here, you're going to have the offensive lineman that is going to make money in the NFL. If you're a good left tackle, you're going to make a lot of money in the NFL. But how people know the skill positions.
People know the skill positions, but I guarantee you those offensive linemen that are top tier, people know their names. And if you're an Alabama first-round draft pick,
right,
people know who you are.
So, because of the desire for equality, we live in this world where everybody wants there to be a measuring stick that says, if I generate X, I get Y. And they're going. So this is what I'm getting at with the offensive lineman. Well, I'm an Outland
Trophy.
I'm an Outland Trophy finalist. I'm the anchor of this offensive line. Who's to say I'm not generating more than your quarterback that's a Heisman candidate? You get what I'm saying?
Well, the counter argument to that, though, is, all right, so Zach Martin is phenomenal offensive lineman here. But outside of Dallas, not too many people know his name.
Right.
Do we expect him to get the same endorsement dollars that we expect Dak Prescott to get?
Not at all.
So when you graduate to being pro, you're going to be under that system.
Right.
So it just is what it is.
But you see what I'm saying, though.
I do see what you're saying.
That's what I'm getting at. And then it just keeps bleeding out to every athlete going,
what about me?
What about me? And that's why we have Title IX. These are, now you're getting into labor laws, and I get the difficulties behind it, but I also see the unfairness of it, like what you're talking about. There's a way to see that right now, Louisville's football team. Louisville's football team has one stud player on it. He's a Heisman Trophy winner, Lamar Jackson.
Right.
People go to watch Lamar Jackson.
Right. And if he got a bigger piece of the pie, that's the American way.
Right. That's capitalism. That's a free market.
Absolutely.
So
I don't have a problem with it.
Anyway, I would love to see a solution, but because of the world that we live in, no matter what solution you provide, there are going to be factions that say, that's not fair to me.
Well, the solution we have right now in place, there are still issues with the solution.
I agree.
Now, what you try to do is figure out a system that has the least amount of issues.
Sure.
And kind of go with that. Because like you say, I'm never going to be able to please the masses. But can I at least please the majority?
Right.
And right now, you can't. They're not pleasing the majority in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. So, but until that happens, these types of scandals are going to continue.
My problem is, why is the coach involved in the scandal? He's getting paid millions and millions of dollars.
I know.
I mean, his contract is guaranteed. I guess it's your name and your legacy and all that stuff. But come on, Rick Pitino. Come on, Rick Pitino. Really?
I mean, and this isn't the first thing Ricky's been involved in.
Oh yeah. We had the harlots and the and the players sleeping with players,
and of course he didn't know about that.
No,
and he's
was there an ex-wife issue too? Or
there's the adultery where he got the assistant pregnant, paid for the abortion, and then she tried to
blackmail him.
Yes, and then she married one of his assistants, and then of course, what was the other thing? Oh no, I was thinking it was an issue at Duke, but the fact that these coaches come out and say I had no knowledge, everything that goes on with your team.
Well, it's done in private room so that they can have plausible deniability. You can't say I knew because you can't prove I knew.
Right.
It's plausible deniability at its finest. But Rick Pitino, great coach, obviously.
Sure.
But I'm not going to miss him.
No.
I'm not going to miss him at all.
No.
He's had enough chances, and if this is how you spend your third chance by making sure this college athlete gets $100,000 under the table and you lose your job behind it, I don't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry.
Realistically, he's probably made, what, $50-70 million?
Well, we know he was getting about, with Adidas, he was getting about $1.5 million. Was it $1.5 million a month? Was it really?
Well, because they signed a $160 million deal.
So he's getting $1.5 million a month? Good gracious. Wow.
I am not making that. Full disclosure, I do not make that kind of money. I know.
The dollars are crazy. Okay, let's talk a little Cam Newton. Let's talk about what happened there. We're running out of time. And I still want to get a couple of things in with you, Jimmy. Cam Newton told a reporter who was asking about, this is a female reporter, she was asking about Devin Funchess and the physicality of his routes. And Cam Newton snickered. He snickered.
He did.
And
leaned back a little.
And he said, it's just funny to hear a female talk about routes. And he's been blasted for it. And he's had sponsorships that have already pulled out from him. The little yogurt sponsorship he had, that's been pulled from him. Let me ask you, Jimmy, fair or foul?
So I'm going to tell you, when I first heard it, my initial response. We have heard, and it is frustrating, that part of the reason that you have some of these female reporters is physical.
Ooh, Jimmy
okay.
Clark.
No.
Where are you going with this, man?
I'm not saying that women are on the field. They're women with talent. They can do everything a man can do in this industry. There's nothing.
They can write.
They can write, they can read, they can report. I mean, what I'm getting at is but realistically, what do these guys do? That's what they do. They read and they write. Now, they convey a message. Sometimes they do it articulately. Sometimes you got people that they can't do anything.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is it's very rare that the sideline reporter that does the halftime interview that lasts 45 seconds, which is nothing but softball questions of what does your team need to do in the second half. That's a softball question. The answer is we need to score more points than they do. We all know that. Okay, but they're doing it while walking to the locker room. The coach isn't going to pull aside and go, well,
let me give you my strategy for the second half.
They're not going to do that. From that standpoint, and this has nothing to do with the gender, from that standpoint, that is a time filler that shows we get access to the coaches. But we're getting nothing out of it, really. So I think Cam Newton was actually happy to hear a real question. I genuinely think that it was, wow, I'm getting a real question from, and he's dealt with her before because she's a beat writer in Charlotte. And I'm going to bet she's been required to throw some toss-up softball questions at him in the past, and he's just happy. Now, did his wording come out right? Not at all. Not at all, because you have to know your audience. You have to know how you're delivering the message. And the moment he said it, when nobody else laughed, he immediately goes, "Oh, well, Funny's having a great year," and it's I think at that moment he just realized what I'm trying to say and what I just said are not the same thing, and I said the wrong one. So that's my opinion.
So fair or foul that he's catching so much flack for it.
In today's world, we make what we want to be fair. Now, according to her, when she saw him later, he didn't apologize or anything like that. If Cam is genuinely the type that thinks, wow, you can't really do this because you don't know about routes, but somebody wrote this question for you and you're required to ask it, and I can't believe you're doing it because you're female, then shame on you. And
but you didn't take it that way.
I didn't take it that way.
I will tell you this, and I watched it, and I think he was halfway cracking a joke, trying to disarm, because it was like, to hear a female, it's funny to hear a female talk about routes, and he thought people were going to laugh, and no one laughed with him. What you had there was a lack of awareness.
I completely agree.
You had a lack of awareness. Now, do I think it was sexist? To a degree. To a degree, it was a little sexist, and it was sexist because we live in a sexist society. Let's be frank.
We do.
When Jimmy, you probably had a girlfriend, maybe before, and when you start talking in depth about football,
that's hurtful.
When you start talking in depth about football, you kind of know when you lose her.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You kind of know. I mean, and so it is odd if your girlfriend came to you and she wanted to know. So, did you see the? Why in the world did they go with 23 personnel in this particular situation when obviously they should have spread them out and ran the draw?
Your first thing is
what? Really? And you're gonna look and you're gonna be like,
there's two reactions there.
Am I in the Twilight Zone?
There's two reactions to that, and one of them is exciting.
But what I'm saying though is, I can understand him being caught a little off by it.
No doubt.
And then to chuckle about it and say, I'm being asked about routes by a female. And so I can kind of understand it, but it's still a lack of awareness. In this day and age, in that forum, I can get away with it in my living room. You know why, Jimmy? Because nobody knows who I am.
Right.
I'm not Cam Newton, and I'm not sitting here in front of a group of reporters.
No doubt.
And that's exactly who he is, and that's exactly what he was doing.
Right.
So in situations like that, yes, he deserves the flack that he's catching.
Right.
Because you have to be more aware,
and
Cam.
that's the thing. Vince, as much as we'd love everybody to have an equality mindset, it's not realistic.
No.
We know that's not realistic. It's a big struggle with what goes on in our country just on a much larger scale right now. Equality, it's hard to break the mental mold that we were raised with, that we've formed ourselves just through experiences. It's hard to break that. But we do have to, as you say, we have to be aware of our audience in what we're saying, because, again...
and he knew as soon as he said it.
Right.
He knew.
Right. And that's why...
And he should have backtracked, to be honest with you, and immediately apologized.
Right.
And I think it wouldn't have went over so bad, but in that instance, when you know that you just screwed up, you're like,
what do you do?
Let me get the hell out of here.
Yes,
probably
right.
Thinking.
So, he's going to continue to catch flack for that, and it's, again, going... The real problem, that becomes another black eye on the NFL.
And the NFL did try to distance themselves from it. Because they're going to. I mean, this is our image, and we can't be seen as a sexist organization. Right. When truth be told, we really probably are.
Oh.
There's not a female coach. There's not a female this. There's not a female that. Nobody's in the locker room. I mean, there's not a female general manager.
Right.
I mean, there's still the thought process that this is a man's world. So you got this institution that primarily is a man-dominated sport. business,
Fan base.
So, you hate to say it, but and not to disparage the reporter who asked, because I think that she had every right, and she's probably a lot more knowledgeable than 99.9% of the men watching football.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, so, but not to disparage her or females in general, but you do recognize to a certain extent this is the quote-unquote man's world.
Yeah.
That sport
Yes.
is the man's world.
Yeah.
And even to take it a step further, people have to realize not only is it a man's world, it is a straight man's world.
Right.
If you think about it, we don't even tolerate, the landscape in general, we don't even tolerate people coming out
No.
in the National Football League.
Right.
You'd be hard-pressed to keep your job.
Right. And that's where I was going with how I was saying that from the female perspective, there is a physicality in regard to the ones that they select for the TV.
Right.
I mean,
It's sad, but I will say, and I don't think he meant how it came across, but it came across.
it did.
And you're Cam Newton. That's the audience. You have to be smarter.
Right.
Whoever your public relations person is, you should have been coached up. These are the things we don't say.
Right. Right.
There's plenty of things Jimmy Clark can say when he's with his girlfriend at home and they're sitting in front of TV. You don't know crap about this, do you? You can say that all day long, but if you go into a different environment and you have your audience, hey, it's going to be a different ballgame,
Right.
man. That's what happens.
I mean, we both being from the financial planning world, I mean, saying something like that, it's funny to hear a woman know what a dividend is.
Right.
And you're going, gender has absolutely nothing to do with what is being asked or answered right now. And yet, like you said, there should be a big chart in your locker room that says, these things we don't say. And that should be right near the top.
I'm with you. Remind me next week. I'm going to tell you a story about an organization that I accidentally joined at my place of employment. So we might say that for the
Noted.
airways one day here. Okay, so before we leave out, I got JC here. I've already hyped him up and told you guys he's a musical genius. And when I say musical genius, I mean that he knows the words to every song ever written by a man or a woman, okay? Jimmy Clark is a walking jukebox. So, and just like jukeboxes, he's also a dinosaur. So,
well played.
Well played. So let's go over the nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the resident music guru and see what Jimmy's take on it. And Jimmy, I'm going to ask you for an overall thumbs up or down. And I'm going to be honest and upfront with you guys. A lot of these groups I'm not going to know, but that's why I'm not the resident musical genius in the room. That's Jimmy Clark. Okay, so number one, Bon Jovi.
Been eligible for a while. You got to say thumbs up. I mean, here's the reason why. And I'm going to give you just a brief snippet on each one. The guys helped create hair metal. And that was a dominant faction for 8 solid years.
He created hair metal. That's the reason he goes to the Hall of Fame?
Oh.
Okay. Bon Jovi, actually one I know, actually a fan of Bon Jovi. Yeah. I'll be there for you. Still, I think one of the greatest poeticals.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Living on a prayer. You give love a bad name.
I'm with you.
Bad medicine.
It's automatic. It
yes.
shouldn't even be debatable. Why is he having to wait? I have no idea. Yeah. Okay. Kate Bush.
Kate Bush, not a fan. I mean, just she has this certain drawn-out tone in her voice, but there was this huge following that she had. That again, I listened to a little bit of it, and I'm like, I'm out. So for me, it's a no.
No, yeah. Thumbs down. Okay. The Cars.
I got to give a yes.
Bye Bye Love.
Bye Bye Love. Drive.
That's the only one I really know is Bye Bye
Love. For those of you who've ever seen a certain scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the song "Moving in Stereo" was playing. And for those of you who haven't seen that scene, don't watch it when your parents are around.
Okay. Now, I don't even know who this is. It's Depeche Mode?
Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode, okay.
Reach out and touch faith, your own personal Jesus.
I'm sorry, you guys. You had to listen to that.
No, but that's Depeche Mode. The new wave electronica deep thought music. They sang words like silence, breaking violence.
Up or down?
I give them an up, but they're not going to get in.
So, Dire Straits.
Definite up.
Money for Nothing?
Money for Nothing, Walk of Life, Sultans of Swing. Mark Knopfler, the guitar player and singer for that band, scored so many or so many songs for different movie soundtracks. No, Dire Straits, phenomenal band.
Now, Jimmy, I want you to know, only about 5 of these people are getting in, and you've already put in 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 4 out of 5.
Okay. Oh, I thought you meant you were asking if they're going to get in this year.
No, hold on.
Okay.
I want you to keep going. I want to keep going because we're going to play elimination here. Okay, because then I'm going to have to make it. I got 9 minutes. I got to get through them. Eurythmics.
No. Down.
Whoa.
3 songs.
It doesn't matter. Sweet Dreams, you get to go off of Sweet Dreams by itself.
Great song.
Great song.
Great song.
I mean, no to the Eurythmics.
Not going to happen.
Very disappointed to hear this. I believe the new Eurythmics, personally, I believe they should go. Okay. Is it the Jay Gillis Band?
Jay Giles.
Jay Giles Band, okay.
Do you know their big hit?
No.
Angel is a centerfold. Na, 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 na,
Oh,
na,
okay.
na. Great tune.
I've heard it. Okay.
Great tune.
I have heard it.
They also sang a song called Love Stinks, but they will not get in.
I'm only thinking because that's the song from The Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love Stinks.
I do know that song.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Judas Priest.
Not going to happen, but they sang Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight. The movie Rockstar that Mark Wahlberg starred in back in...
He played the drummer.
No, he played
He was the lead singer?
The lead singer that got picked up because the main singer got kicked out of the band because they found out he was homosexual.
Okay.
They kicked him out of the band, and they got they found another singer off a recording from a band. That's the basis of that movie.
Okay. Now, I don't even know if I even have to mention this one. LL Cool J. Do we even have to talk? We don't even have to discuss that, do we? Okay.
I'm the type of guy that comes when you leave.
When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stay with them. Okay. All right. MC5.
There's a 10 to 1 chance that you might get smacked. I'm sorry, what?
MC5.
Don't even know it.
Don't even know. Okay, there are thumbs down there. The Meters.
Down, don't know anything by them.
Now, the Meters are a funk band from New Orleans. I know that because I was in New Orleans. I was in Baton Rouge.
Right.
Funk band from New Orleans. A lot of their music has been sampled.
Okay.
That's probably one.
You know what? I'll do some homework then. I'd like to hear that because I love finding out the samples of songs.
Yeah, a lot of their music has been sampled. So
okay.
I think that's one of the reasons they're on here. Okay, Moody Blue.
Oh, the Moody Blues.
The Moody Blues, okay.
The Moody Blues, a lot of great tunes, a very distinct segment. I don't think they'll get in this time, but they will get in eventually.
Eventually. Radiohead.
So this is what's going to... My answer is thumbs up, and there may not be a band that I hate more than Radiohead.
Wow.
Do you know anything that they do?
This is how I look at some of these. If I've heard of them, that means they probably were so popular that they should probably go in. I have heard of Radiohead.
Yeah, they did. But I'm a creep. I'm a loser.
Are they from here? Or
no, they're
Europe?
London.
Yeah, London,
Tom York is the lead singer.
A lot of British groups on here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Rage Against the Machine.
Yes.
They are from here. They're from
Bulls
California.
Bulls on Parade, Guerrilla Radio, great band.
Okay. So Rufus featuring Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan, I feel for you. Shaka Khan, let me tell you what I want to do. I would like to see them go in.
You don't think they'll go? You don't think
not this time.
Shaka Khan?
Not this time.
Oh man, Sweet Thing. Oh man, I'm Shaka
I
Khan.
know.
Shaka Khan goes first ballot for me.
Right.
She's nominated, man. Nina Simone.
Nina Simone. Have you ever heard any of her stuff?
I have.
Yeah. So I'm a thumbs up on her.
I'm a thumbs up on Nina Simone too. I'm actually a fan of Nina Simone. You know, civil rights activist.
Yes.
They got a movie coming out about her featuring Zoe Saldana.
Oh, Zoe Saldana?
Saldana, okay. But there's a lot of uproar because they don't like the idea of Zoe playing Nina Simone.
Really?
Yeah, there's a big uproar about that.
Okay.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Have you heard her?
I would assume she's a gospel singer.
So, but a crossover. I'm telling you, go back and listen to her stuff. It would be incredibly popular today. I don't think she'll get in, but love her music. Love it. Very unique voice.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
just
and
listen.
she's from back. Sister Rosetta Tharpe. She's from back in the day. She's you can almost divide music up from like 1960 and up and 1960 and down.
Oh yeah, no
she's
doubt.
Kind of pre-1960.
Yeah.
Okay. Link Ray.
Don't know.
The Zombies.
The Zombies will not get in this time, but eventually they will.
Okay. Now, if I had to take your top 5 off this list,
Okay.
I'm going to give you the list so that you can kind of see.
Right.
It. I want your top 5.
Okay.
You might have to flip it over because
Right.
the rest of them are on this page. I need the top 5. Who should go? And we know LL should go.
LL should go.
There's
Right.
nothing. I had the Eurythmics mark with Jimmy's veto
Okay.
that as, and he's the music aficionado,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna let him have it. Okay.
So LL,
Bon Jovi should go.
Bon Jovi,
That's 2.
Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode.
Yes,
Really?
I think they should.
Okay.
The Cars.
The Cars.
And
now, don't forget to flip the page
Right.
over.
No.
We got
And
some more.
right. And Radiohead.
Radiohead over
Over Rage Against the Machine.
over Rufus and Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with
I know.
Rufus
But
and Shaka Khan.
I think those are the 5 that have the best chance.
Really? Okay. Well, I'm going to keep track. I'm going to find out if Jimmy was right, if he was 5 for 5 on these.
Yeah.
And we'll see
But
how
remember,
it
they
goes.
can do as few as 1. They don't have to take 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But other than that, you guys heard it here. Jimmy Clark's giving you the breakdown of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So consider yourself enlightened. All right. Now, with that being said, Jimmy, I think we are approaching.
Yep, we got a couple minutes left, Vince.
We got a couple of minutes left. How do you want to spend the last couple of minutes?
You know, you always ask me what's going on in my world at the beginning of the show. What's going on in your world to end it?
What's going on in my world? Jimmy, all I do is sports. So immediately when you say, Vince, what are you doing? I'm worried about my fantasy football team. I'm wanting to look and see what the Patriots score is. It's right now it's 16-7.
Okay.
Tom Brady is only at 1 touchdown, which isn't a good thing for me.
We can dive deeper into this, but I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Who's your pick to win the World Series? Baseball playoffs have started. Altuve hit 3 home runs today.
I think the Astros are going to represent.
You think so? I got Cleveland.
Well, Cleveland's streak was so strong, and I think they are the betting favorite. See, I kind of tune out of baseball a little bit when the Rangers.
I know,
when the Rangers
yeah.
go. Did the Astros pitching get healthy?
Playoff healthy.
They are playoff healthy.
Because remember, you got 2 studs, and then
Two
you got
studs.
2 guys that can serviceable. I mean, Astros got Verlander, who dominated today. They got Keuchel going the next game.
Yeah, so
McHugh is the one that I think was left off the starting rotation, but he's the long relief guy. So
Astros. I think Cleveland is the betting favorite, though. Did you take a look at it?
I haven't, no, but it's got to be those 2. Now I'll say this on the National League side: the Dodgers wanted Colorado to win last night, and Arizona represented, and I think Arizona is going to be the National League team.
Arizona from the National League.
Yep.
Quite possible. Quite possible. So you don't give any hope to the pride of the Yankees.
No.
Nothing's going on there.
No.
Okay. I don't either. I don't see it happening.
Plus, it's the Yankees. They got enough.
They got enough. Well, they had like 25?
27,
27?
don't they?
27
right?
championships. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's one of the reasons I can't stand the Lakers. I can't stand the Yankees.
Right.
You know, I just hate prosperity.
Right. If it's not mine. Because that's not fair for me, Vince.
Right. It's not fair for me. There you go. Well, you guys, we definitely appreciate you tuning in with us for another episode of Sports Rehab. This is the place where all the sports addicts go. We hope you guys got your fix. Hope you enjoyed the show. Jimmy and I will be right back here next
week.
Thursday doing the exact same thing. Hopefully celebrating a Cowboy win and a Redskins loss. Talking
that's
that out.
hurtful. That's hurtful.
Well, I'm just telling you what
Redskins
I'm
have a
hoping for.
bye week, and they can still lose.
Yeah, there you go. They can lose. They can lose ground in the standings. That's what I'm hoping for them. And definitely cheering against the Eagles. And please continue, everyone that's watching, please continue to cheer against the Giants. Their misery is my happiness.
Yes.
So
no doubt.
So completely be involved with the NFL, because we're going to talk about it next week, and then come see us 8:30 p.m. Thursday. Also, for the remainder of this week, right now we have a man's point of view going on at Brick House B&H Lounge now. B&H Lounge, And we've got a couple of new shows. Be on the lookout. We've got a couple of new shows that are going to be starting in October. Okay, I think they're working on getting their names, and then we're going to be joined by those two shows. And then on Monday, of course, it's going to be Straight from the Hip, Shybella Rose, Hollywood, and Queen Paradise. They have a very good time on that show. Usually they've got some local talent that they'll be exposing the high vibe market to. So please come in, join us on Monday. And then, of course, Tuesday, the Black of the Berry, always having great conversations, always having a good time with those conversations. Yep. So please don't miss any of the shows on High Vibe Network. We will be back, Jimmy.
Next week.
Next week. What's that? 6 days, so many hours, and so many seconds, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you, guys. Peace.